Hi guys, welcome back to another Minimum Wagers Kitchen. I am Gigi and today I'm going to be making you some very decadent Valentine's cherry chocolate cookies. I'm super excited to make you this recipe. I think you're going to really like it, so let's get started, shall we? Alright, let's get started with our ingredients. So for today's ingredients, I'm going to be using whole wheat flour, and that's going to be 1.5 cups. I'm also going to be using half a cup of softened salted butter, 3/4 cups of granulated sugar, 3/4 cups of baking cocoa powder, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon each of baking powder and baking soda. I'm also going to be adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt as well, 1 delicious cup of chocolate chips, and for the last ingredient, that's going to be 3/4 cups of cherry pie filling. Alright you guys, let's put all of our ingredients together. Alright, so for the ingredients, I went ahead and added the whole wheat flour into the bowl already. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add all of our dry ingredients except for the chocolate chips and the granulated sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and add the cocoa powder and the salt. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and add the baking soda and the baking powder. Alright, so the next step now, since I have all the dry ingredients in the bowl, I'm going to go ahead and mix this together. And so you know too, with the cocoa powder, you'll kind of get clumps. So the best way to do that is just go ahead and just scrape on the bottom this way. And then we'll go ahead and break up all those little clumps. Alright, so that's what it should look like. Alright, so that's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put this aside for just a few moments. Alright, so our dry ingredients are done. Let's go ahead and get started with our sugar and our butter. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cream this butter with our sugar, make it nice and fluffy. We'll add the rest of our wet ingredients and then incorporate everything together to make some delicious cookie dough with cherry pie filling. So let's go ahead and get started on here and I'll show you how. So first off, I'll start with my softened butter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and give this a quick squish. Just to make it a little bit easier too when we start mixing our butter and our sugar together to make fluffiness. Alright guys, I know a lot of people just chop up their butter, cut it up, whatever or however method you want to do, that's fine. Personally, for me, this works the best because when I add my sugar and I start using the paddles here for our mixer, it's a little bit easier to handle, and then that way you won't get an explosion of like butter sugar everywhere. Alright, so the next step will be our sugar. Go ahead and keep your spatula handy so that way you can scrape your bowl as you're mixing, so that way you can get all the butter and everything mixed together. Alright, so here comes the fun part where I try not to make a huge mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start this mixer here on low, just so you get all this butter on the bottom. Alright, and that was just not even 30 seconds. It's starting to look more like popcorn, I guess, or crumbles. So go ahead and mix for about another 45 seconds to another minute or so. And then you should be good to go. Alright, so there you go. Nice and fluffy. Yum! And now I'm going to go ahead and just scrape the sides of the bowl into the center so I can start adding the remaining of my ingredients. And that'll be the wet ingredients, by the way. Now that I've scraped the sides of the bowl, I'll show you here, super fluffy. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add the vanilla extract. And the egg. And now I'm going to go ahead and mix this on low as well with the mixer here. This won't take long at all. In fact, when it starts looking like frosting, you know it's done. So at this point, it's about 30-40 seconds in. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the mixer here. Looks like frosting now. I would not attempt to eat that. It's got raw egg. Hey, I wouldn't. All right, so the next step is going to be adding the wet ingredients we just did here into our dry ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and make kind of a little well in the center and scrape this. Now I do want to work a little bit quick with this, and it's mostly because the butter. I don't want that butter to lose consistency per se, or get too warm is really the big priority right now. All right, so at this stage, I'm also going to go ahead and add the cherry pie filling. And we want to break those pieces of cherry up into the cookie. So I'm going to go ahead and use that mixer, and as well to be able to incorporate that sugar, butter, and egg mixture. All right, so let's go ahead and start on low. This will get just a bit messy. This is going to take about a minute or two to really start thickening up like cookie dough. And definitely just keep going and work with your mixer here. What it should look like is really like brownie batter. Well, I'm excited to say on this episode of the Minimum Wager's Kitchen, I am not covered head to toe with flour or icing yet, or chocolate cookie dough. But hey, the day is young, so we'll see what happens. All right, so the last ingredient is going to be our cup of chocolate chips. So I'm going to go ahead and dump those right in. And with the spatula I had before, I'm going to go ahead and scrape the sides of the bowl here into the center. And push the dough up to the chocolate chips. That way, you're mixing that cookie dough inward into those chocolate chips and mixing them throughout. All right, guys, so that is done. And now the chocolate chips are incorporated. Show you the texture here. It really does look like more like brownie batter. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get some cookie sheets with some parchment paper ready to go. That way I can show you how to get these onto the parchment paper, pop these in the oven, and then get these baked off. See you in a few moments. All right, guys, let's go ahead and start scooping. So really, all you need is one of these guys, or you can also use a soup spoon. So what I'm going to go ahead and use is this smaller scoop, which is great for cookie scooping. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is a 1/2 inch across and then flatten. And all I'm going to do is, boom, that's it. All right. Show you another one here. And I'm also going to leave about 1.5 inches to 2 inches apart. So if you just have a standard cookie sheet, the kind you buy at the grocery store or whatnot, go ahead and just put 3 across. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these all scooped up and ready to go. And just remember, make sure that you scrape on the side of your bowl here. That way they are completely flat this way, and you're getting all that cookie dough, so you definitely have a dome. Because I'll go ahead and do a little thumbprint imprint on the top, so we can go ahead and put our icing and a little cherry on top of there. All right, I'll see you in just a few moments. Well, cookies are all panned up and all ready to go with some delicious chunks of cherry in there, like that one, for example, or that one, or that one, or, well, whichever. All right, so the easiest way to go ahead and put a thumbprint on the top, for me at least, that way you don't get chocolate all over your thumb, your fingers, or whatnot, is go ahead and grab like a teaspoon for like espresso, or a little spoon, and go ahead and dip it in some cold water, and then all you're gonna do is go ahead and indent it, and go around. That way you leave an indentation. The water really will help for the dough not to completely stick onto the teaspoon here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple more, and just make sure too you're not like getting a puddle of water in the center of these either. You can go ahead and do a couple at a time, but you'll notice it'll start sticking. All right, let me go ahead and finish this pan here. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what they look like. So here you go, that's what they look like. And you see that indentation in there here. Whoa! I don't need to have those slide right off. Oh, they do smell really, really good. But yeah, so you see the indentation there. These are also gonna spread out a little bit too as we bake them. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this last pan here, and then we'll go ahead and pop these in the oven. All right, time to pop these cookies in the oven. And again, that's at 350 for about 10 to 12 minutes. See you in about 12 minutes. All right, guys, cookies are ready to come right out of the oven here. So let me go ahead and turn off my oven here. And oh my gosh, that smells so good. So chocolatey. Ooh, look at these. Wow, let me not burn myself here. So let me go ahead and get these on here, and I will be right back. These came out awesome. And I do see the chunks of cherry pie filling, like the big chunks of cherry that we kind of like broke up with the whisk there with our mixer. So let me go ahead and oh my gosh, sorry, I got totally distracted. That smells so good. All right, back to it. Yeah, so as you can see, they grew a little bit, and we also still have that indentation. Now, let me show you to make sure that these are baked through, because it can look quite deceiving. Again, remember, these are gonna be chewy, just a little slightly cakey, and with that thumbprint, that's gonna capture all that cherry icing too. So these are gonna be super decadent. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick one out. Let's do this one. So as you can see, it's quite a thick cookie, and it does have a little bounce. So one way to know is if you press the center, it'll spring back. Also too, if you look underneath, you'll start seeing the bubbles. You'll also know too if it's raw. I'm also going to break one open just to show you here. See what I mean? I mean, super cakey, super just kind of chewy on the outside. Has that nice cookie crust on the top, not overkill. And I'm just going to have to take a taste here. Now that's really good too with that whole wheat flour. Gives it a little bit more nutty flavor. but the texture, I really like that. Plus the chocolate chips in the center, and then the pieces too of the cherry from the cherry pie filling too, really gives it a wonderful, wonderful flavor. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and try not to snack on these, so I have some left over to show you how to ice them here in just a few moments. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get these all cooled off. And in fact, what I'm gonna do is right over to a cookie rack. So yeah, transferred these over to a cookie rack now. Gonna get these all cooled off, and I'll see you in about half an hour or so, and I'll show you how to make that cherry icing, as well as topping these off with a little cherry on top. And let's go ahead and decorate some, because, well, why not? All right, guys, I'll see you in just a moment. While we wait for our cookies to cool, have you checked out my other videos? If not, go ahead and hit like and subscribe so that way you can watch more videos. Also, too, now I've got like over 15 videos up, so you can totally binge watch. Yay! Alright guys, let's go ahead and make that cherry icing. So for the ingredients for the cherry icing, that's going to be 2.5 cups of powdered sugar, 1.5 cups to 3/4 cup of pie filling, and go ahead and save 24 of the cherries from the pie filling. We're going to go ahead and use these to top the cookie at the end. We're going to go ahead and puree that rest of that cherries, that 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup right in here, and then go ahead and add it to the powdered sugar to make that delicious icing. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and start getting this ready to puree our 1/2 cup of cherry pie filling. So go ahead and dump that right in. And really, it's not a lot, so because also too I realize there's quite a bit on here on the side, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more. There we go. Just to make up for that amount. In fact, there's like 3 cherries in here, so it's all going in. And if we get to use it, that means we did not waste it. If not, save it for later for like pancakes or something fun. Alright, so next, trusty blade. Go ahead and get that in. And by the way, this little ninja chopper is not sponsored. I really have been using this quite a bit, and I have to say, I do recommend it. Alright guys, so I've got this all lined up, and I'm going to make sure here, got this set. Should make sure. Oh, there we go. So this won't take long at all. In fact, let me check real quick here. Literally seconds. Pretty much. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a couple more seconds. And do a little pulse. Fabulous. Alright. Alright, so let me show you the puree real quick now. There we go. Okay, there's like a couple little pieces here and there. And I'm going to go ahead and, first off actually, I'm going to make a little well in the center. It just makes it a little bit easier. So just make yourself a little well. And then scrape the sides as you're pouring in your mixture. Now remember, I did add just a little bit, so I'm going to leave a little bit behind, just in case. And now I'm going to start incorporating this with my spatula. It's going to be a little weird at first because it's very liquidy, but at the same time, very powdery, as you can see here. So it'll be tough at first to kind of mix in together. But as you incorporate the 2 ingredients, you'll notice it's going to start kind of like blending in. So I'm going to go ahead and keep mixing here. And really scrape the sides of my bowl to get all that remaining powdered sugar off the side of the bowl here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and keep mixing, and I will see you in just a few moments. All right, guys, so I'm pretty much done with the icing. You can use a whisk if you'd like, but you really don't need to. I mean, it's just a little bit easier with the whisk. Anyhow, show you what the icing looks like over here. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this in a piping bag. And just so you know, for the consistency, it should be like a very, very, very thick milkshake. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the fridge for about 10-15 minutes or so, just to let it cool for just a second, because it is crazy hot in here. I left that oven on and I'm going to have to open some windows or something, so I'll see you in a few moments. Alright, you guys, let's go ahead and ice some cookies. Yay! I have the icing ready and I let it cool for about 10-15 minutes or so in the refrigerator. I also have those 24 cherries I pulled out. That way we can go ahead and use that. And if you do buy that 1 pound cherry pie filling can, then you'll have enough cherries to go ahead and have these as the topper. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead and cut the tip off, and we're not going to add a ton. In fact, you will have some of this left over. Also too, pretty handy to have a paper towel just to clean this off, and that way you can make a nicer cookie. Because as you can see on the first one, I put a little too much, so that's starting to set already. So let's go ahead and do the rest of the cookies here. And I'm just covering the top so I don't get icing all over the place. And that's the top of the bag here. And the easiest way too to handle this is once you have that bottom really covered up with your hand, you want to twist that plastic part on the bottom a little bit too, so that way it's nice and secure. So where I did the thumbprints, well, with the little teaspoon, we're going to go ahead and add about a dime size into that little tiny well. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and I'll be back in just a moment to show you what they look like. Alright guys, so here's the thing. A lot of people have all sorts of tools for this. The best way to get this on here is just give it a little swirl. That way you're covering part of that cookie and leaving a little bit of that edge. And as you can see, that one did not get a full thumbprint, so unfortunately, kind of got off the edge there. See if I can clean that up. And that icing is starting to set, which is nice. And of course, use clean fingers. Again, these don't have to be perfect. I mean, you want them to be cute for sure. But one thing, like for example, this one, fix that one there. There we go. And this one. And you have a little bit of time to work with this as well. See what I mean? Fix that right up. So those are done. And now to the last tray. These one, it looks like I got that print pretty darn well, which I'm pretty darn happy about. And this is really setting, so I really want to make sure I start working with this and get these done for the ones that need it. By the way, that icing, if you add a little bit more of that cherry puree, you can actually glaze donuts with that. Just saying. So for these, I went ahead and just kind of used my finger to spread out the icing. This one I didn't do, I just kind of kept it as the tray like this one. Just to make them look a little different, because we are going to decorate them a little bit different as well. And then for these, I just went ahead and poured it directly into the thumbprint section right there. All right, guys, so these are setting, and I'm going to show you real quick. It's been about maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, but as you can see, those are set already with that icing on top. Yeah, so those are ready to go. So are these. That one had a little too much. Icing, that is. And then, yeah, there you go. They're pretty much ready to go. And of course, I dipped my finger in that one. That'll be our tester at the end. How about that? All right, so now I have those 24 cherries right over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to have the least amount of that filling this part right here. So the sauce that's in there. And how I'm going to do that is just tap the side, and then I'm going to go ahead and place one right on top. There. Super cute. Okay. And while that icing is setting, that cherry will set too. Mind you, these should be kept in the refrigerator just because they're a little bit more cakier than a regular cookie. Also too, it's a little bit chewier, and you do have that cherry on top as well. So there you go. And decorate some more here. Bloop. I think these are cute. Wait until we put more stuff on them. Get a little bit even more Valentine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and then when I'm back, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of decoration, some sprinkles on here, make them all sorts of Valentine festive, and then we'll go ahead and plate these up and taste them. I am super excited. See you in a moment. All right, so these have been setting for about 2-3 minutes here, and they're almost good to go actually. So we can go ahead and start decorating these, and pretty much that's what they look like. Yeah. So if you do have a little bit of the icing that does this, as it's setting, you can actually wipe that off, and boom, right there. So for the first decoration, we can just use something really simple like sprinkles like this, little red sprinkles. And I'll go ahead and do this for like 3 of the cookies here, just to make it look cutesy. There you go. I'll do one here as well. And do this one. Hopefully that won't look like a murder scene later. Because that would suck. Alright, so the next thing, I'm going to try to get some of these guys out. I've got some heart sprinkles here, and I'll show you real quick. Whoop! Yeah. Super cute. So these we can just kind of like pop those in wherever, kind of like let them organically be, you know? Oh. Boy, you guys, I don't know about those red sprinkles. Actually, I take it back. So for these kind of sugar sprinkles, I do not recommend. It does look like a murder scene after all. We're going for Valentine's Day here, not murder scene. So, yeah, I probably would avoid those. All right, so I'll go ahead and get some more of these on here. Hey, you live and you learn, right? That way you don't have to make that mistake. And this icing is setting pretty fast here, so I gotta work pretty quickly. Oh, these are cute. They're little XOs, XOs. All right, we gotta do a bunch of these on here for sure. That's just adorable. Oh, there we go. And the other thing too that you can top them with doesn't have to be the cherry. You could even use like little sweethearts, like, you know, the ones for Valentine's that have like kiss me and I love you and all sorts of cute stuff on there too. You can get creative. I'm trying to find more sprinkles that, well, won't disintegrate. But I think that's pretty much what I have to work with here. So let me go ahead and get these plated real quick. And actually, let me go ahead and show you what they look like. So there's the ones with the, well, I put the red sugar sprinkles here, and it kind of melted the icing a little bit. Again, I don't recommend that, but the rest of them pretty much set, ready to go. So awesome. And we also have this tray with the rest of our sprinkles and whatnot. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and plate these real quick, and then let's go ahead and give these a taste. I'll see you in just a few moments. All right, you guys, everything is plated. So I went ahead and plated. Here are the ones that I decorated, and that's with the little XOs and the little hearts here. Yeah. And these with some colored sprinkles. And this one just the plain one with no sprinkles. And the rest of them, which came out super cute. Now, mind you, I did put, let's see, oh my gosh, this one right here. So for these right here, I ended up putting the red sugar sprinkles on there, and that pretty much melted like the icing for some reason, which is kind of weird. But the rest of them came out super cute, and I just wanted to go ahead and have these here so I could feature them for you and show you. And I am so ready to give these a taste. I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and try these out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and try this one right here. And that's going to be the one without all the sprinkles and whatnot, just as is. All right, and you know me, I'm going to break this guy apart because I do want to see the insides. So first off, that icing is pretty much set. Oh. And as you can see, it's very cakey inside, but it's not like a brownie consistency either. The outside is very crunchy, like a cookie. And the pieces of cherry in there. So delicious. Wow. Yum. Those cherry pieces in there, and then the chocolate chips as well, and that cocoa powder included, the butter, that sugar, everything is just tasting amazing. Oh, now I have to add the topper here, the cherry. Let's try with the cherry, shall we? Oh, I see pieces of cherry in here too. Yum. So good. In fact, it's better than a cordial cherry. But for this, it's got so much yummy texture. You've got that cookie crunch on the outside, a little bit of that cakiness on the inside with a little bit of that chewiness. And then you have that those pieces of cherry in there as well, including too that cherry pie filling, just the filling juice as well too. Well, these are excellent, and you know what, guys? Maybe I'll take one of the sacrificial lambs over here. Maybe I'll take one of the ones that didn't come out so pretty, because oh wow, they're just so good, and well, can't stop eating these. So good. Okay, I'm putting it down. I'm walking away. Well, these were amazing, and these are so just yummy and decadent. Just so many yummy flavors and not overkill. And also too, by the way, that chocolate cookie batter itself, it's not as sweet. Reason being is because we do use that icing on top, which is extremely sweet. So it'll complement everything once all the ingredients are put together. Well, you guys, I had a great time today making you these very decadent Valentine's cherry chocolate cookies, and I hope you get to try out the recipe, and if you do, make sure to leave me a comment. Oh, and sharing is caring, so don't forget to share the video as well. Well, you guys, I'm gonna have to move these plates out of my way before I keep snacking on these, and that is not a snack, that is a dessert. So in the meantime, I'll see you in the next Minimum Wager's kitchen. See you next time, you guys. Bye. 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 Bye.